Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse, Frugally. Thank you for joining me today as I am going to create 5 very inexpensive thrift flips, or in my case, trash to treasures for under $5. And hopefully you will be able to thrift or find or already have something like these if you would like to recreate. So I'm going to start with one of these primitive country little plates hanging in a row, and I know that you could certainly use any number of things. If you might have some old teacup saucers, if the teacup broke, or if you have some wood rounds from the dollar store, or anything in your stash that might work for this. I was particularly happy to have 1, this small size, and 2, the fact that they were round, because if you've been with me for any length of time, you know that I have been working on a wall in my bedroom that I want to create some watercolors for. And although these primitive country items are cute, they are not my style. So I decided to start by just taking them apart from one another with the wire, get off any of the ribbon and glue and such and the wires, and then I am going to fill the holes that are there with some, I just happen to have some terracotta colored clay, and then sand that down and paint these. I started with a charcoal chalk paint because of the dark green color, and once I had that as a dark base that I could distress to, then I just took out the linen white chalk paint and gave them all a good coat. I think maybe 2 coats of that linen white chalk paint. And then once I had those completely dry, I went through the free printables that I have been collecting off of the graphicsfairy.com, and I put 3 small pictures on some rice paper through my regular printer, and then I am just using the proper size circle that I need, which happens to be this roll of packing tape. And I am just going over around that, and just with a pencil, and then cutting that so that I have 3 of these circles. Now, before I continue, this collaboration is hosted by Farm Charm Chic as well as Happiness Created, and this is a real fun 5 under 5 collaboration, so you will see their channels as well as the playlist in my description box to check out all the other creators joining in, getting you a bunch of very frugal ideas on how you can create some home decor for summer. Before I added the pictures to the center of these plates, I did want to take a wet rag and distress back to some of that dark charcoal color, because some of the items that this is going to go with already had some distressing, so I wanted to make that look a little bit similar. And also I did take the wet rag and sort of sand down some of the lumps and bumps on the chalk paint to give that a more smooth finish. And then I just took some decoupage medium. I am just using some Mod Podge here and a stiff brush, and just dropped some in the base of those plates and just went around the circle, added that little bit of artwork, and then I did go over the top to make sure that I could get most of the wrinkles out, although it's not going to be terribly noticeable if there's a few wrinkles, and then put one little light coat over the top. These are going to hang on the wall, so it's not real necessary to have them have a number of coats, like maybe if I was doing a coaster or something. And then that is pretty much all I had to do with this first one, beside taking some clear wax and going over the whole thing, because it is chalk paint. I didn't want it to reactivate if it ever did get wet, because I will have to clean these at some point. So that is a great way to finish that if you have clear wax. If not, any clear spray will work as well. Or you could Mod Podge the entire thing if you have a lot of school glue or Mod Podge hanging around. And if you do use a clear wax, as I have here, then just wax it on and then wait a minute, and then you can just take a rag and wipe back the bulk of that so it's not sticky and doesn't keep your fingerprints and such. And then, because I love all things distressed, I did take a little bit of watered down antiquing wax and because this has already got a wax on it. It didn't really adhere much, but it gave me just enough of some darker wax distressing look around primarily the middle section and some on the edges of the white paint to tone that bright white down to go with the rest of the pictures that I have hanging in my bedroom. Hopefully soon we will take these all down and repaint our wall and get these spaced out properly. They are obviously a little bit close, but I am in love with the way this wall is starting to take shape with all these gorgeous watercolors and prints. And I literally use double-sided tape on these little ones because, one, they don't weigh anything, and two, I am going to be repainting my wall anyway. But I would love to know what you think about these sweet little 3 photos and whether or not that's something you can recreate. So that technically takes me on to item number 4. And this is one of those wine boxes we got on the Good Table at our dump. So far, both of these items have come from the Good Table at my dump and have cost me $0, minus a few things I had in my stash. Now, I took that outside, I taped off the corner and the latch, and I sprayed that with just a white spray paint because of all the colors and the textures and such, and the paper on the top. I wanted that to have a pretty decent coating. And then I took the tape off of the latch and the corners. I kept the inside dark because honestly I'm not going to use this, but if somebody wanted to, they could decoupage something lighter. Then I took my my finger sander, and I just went around the edges and I just distressed back a little bit of the, bringing out the darker color, mostly on those edges and the corners. And then I took out these beautiful rub-on transfers that I got on Amazon. I just went out to Amazon and literally Googled rub-on transfers. There are so many to choose from, and this is just a few of them. I got them quite some time ago, so I'm not sure if you'd be able to find these exact ones, but there's so many. You'll be able to find something that you like for your stash. And I just cut them out to be where I wanted them to be, and I placed them on. I rubbed them with the stick and then peeled back the top and burnished those down, and that is pretty much all you have to do with the transfer. It is so simple. The only trick I have is if you have recently painted it, especially with a chalk paint, you are going to want to wait a couple of days for it to be good and cured beforehand, because especially if you're using an IOD transfer, you don't want to spend a lot of money on something and then have it pull the paint up. And then I went into my stash and I pulled out some stamps. This is just personal preference. So whatever it is that you have in your stamps that you like, you can also tape off the part you don't want to show. And I just added a little bit of wording, a little bit of floral down the bottom underneath the latch here. And then I had some smaller floral stamps that I had gotten, a couple of years ago now, and I am just going to go ahead and add them here and there on the box, making it look more like just a second medium. I could add some clay pieces for a third medium. You can just build up on this as much as you like, but I just went ahead and just took some of the different grasses and little pom-pom flowers and other flowers that came with this little stamp set and just filled in that top section just to give it a little something extra. And so there are just so many things you can do here. You can add decoupage and clay and fabric and just whatever it is that your heart desires. So this is just a quick, simple, easy things I have in my stash to keep this stuff free. And that is it. I found a little bee, I think it was, or butterfly, I think bee, and I added that here and there, and that's it. So you could use this box for seeds if you're a gardener, or for letters if you happen to keep letters and cards that people send to you, bills if you just want to hide your bills or mail, just anything you have that you like to have stored in your bathroom or in your bedroom. So that's all there is to it. I shortened and added back the little rope handle that had come with this little wine carrier, only because it happened to have those two holes in the top, and if somebody wanted to, they could have it standing up or use it for something else, but just to not make those two holes look odd. But another thing you could do is put two holes in the other side and make it look more like handles, or add actual drawer pulls if you happen to have any in your stash. So I am putting that on my table that I had set up for Easter and have not really changed. So I did that mailbox in a recent video for gardening, so that I have a place in my garden when I finally get it out there where I can put my tools and my gloves and such right next to my garden, so those will be handy. And now that takes me on to item number 5, and this is one of those wooden antique cheese boxes, or I guess in this case it might be cream cheese. And somebody had, it was free at the dump, and somebody had dropped paint on it, and I tried to clean it up, and I really couldn't get that gray paint off, so I've scrubbed it as good as I can here, but the wood is so awesome that I really don't want to paint it. There are some times when you find an antique or something that's just worth keeping, so I decided to flip it upside down, since the words were upside down, so that it would now be right side up. And I just took some grapevine from my yard and twisted that into a little like base for a wreath. And then I had one of these, I don't know, they're like a little table garland or something once upon a time that had some fake eggs and some kind of ugly things in it, and I had ripped that off, got rid of some of the excess glue, and then just gluing that right here into this grapevine wreath. And then I'm going to just add some different kinds of moss that I have in my stash, but if you happen to have moss in your yard, you can dry that out and use that as well. If you live in Georgia, you can pull that Spanish moss right off the tree. I did that when I was in Georgia. My son went to college at SCAD, so I didn't have any of that in my stash here in New England, but I just added what I had from the dollar store, and then a couple of feathers that I had as well. And then I like to add a little of the green moss as well, because I think that gives a little bit more dimension, a little bit more color. And once I had that done, I happen to have one just fake Easter egg looking thing that is in the right color tone, so I'm going to just glue that right on here. And this can be used as it is. It is not adhered to the box, it is laying on top of the box, but everything else is adhered, so I just tucked some flowers underneath it, and then I am going to display it with a sweet bird that I have on in my home decor on the other side of this box, and I am going to call this done. So this really is more of a decorated piece, so much less work than to paint and add clay or stencils, but sometimes that's all it takes. If you have a piece you really love the bones, and there's no need of painting every single thing in your stash, so go ahead and have some fun with the items that you like and make them look the way that your home looks. And I would love to know which one of these 5 under 5 were your favorite. And thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to check out the playlist and the host channels. I'd love it if you give me a thumbs up, and please, please, please subscribe. That really helps my channel. Appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.